Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts,
Archlector George,
and Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We complete our coverage of Best Served Cold, Joe's first standalone and the next First Law entry after the original trilogy. And on this episode, we wrap it up by giving our complete review of the book with spoilers included. So, let's get started. Usual, folks. Come on. You know. You just know it. It's coming down the pipe.
Yes, we love you.
We love
that's
you.
enough now, Jeffrey.
We're going to thank you for your fucking support. All right. This is exactly what we're going to do. You can't stop us. We're just going to thank you.
I'm pretty sure we still have one Patreon supporter.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
A free Patreon supporter, right? Like, he doesn't pay anything.
It pays $1.
Really?
$1 Australian dollar, which I think is about two regular dollars.
Oh, maybe it's the grift for a shit podcast guy. Maybe he didn't get anything back. Oh shit. We might want to send this person like a fucking, I don't know,
titty pics
a titty pic or
of us.
or like let's just mail him like a aloe vera plant or something. I don't know. We just gotta take care of him. Take care of him in some way, shape, or form. Whoever this person is.
Why an aloe vera plant?
I don't know.
That's a good one, though.
Is it to heal from all the sick burns you gave him last time?
Oh, shit.
No, because it's a hardy plant and could survive.
A hardy plant.
A hardy plant. It's a hardy plant.
It is. It is. I can't disagree.
I'm just saying, shit. Fine.
Aloe vera for president?
Fuck my idea, then. But in all seriousness, thank you all for continuing to follow us. And as you know, we have our social medias and our YouTubes. Please go on there and subscribe. I have just returned from a weekend-long camping trip, so I am exhausted. So if you hear my voice, that's what you're hearing. But I am here. I've showed up. We are going to get this going. So, boys, our spoiler review of Best Served Cold. Hit me.
I love how it's just Baez in the end as well. It's just like Baez has some hand in this, just like he has a hand in everything. I love the overall theme of that and the way that continues throughout the series.
Yeah, right. He didn't have... Well, I guess he did. No.
He was involved.
He was involved with Orso.
He has his fingers in many pies.
Yes, he does. He's a pervert when it comes to them pies.
His fat, meaty fingers deep inside some thick, juicy pie. Anyways.
I didn't intend that to be sexual at all, but it went that way.
So you like that it was like Baez was a big part of it at the end, even though we never got to see him.
Exactly, and I think for me, the first time I was reading, I kind of didn't connect it that much to the first trilogy because I was a kid. I don't know, it was like 6 months after I read the first trilogy, and I didn't really realize that they were connected. So just going, oh shit, I know this guy with the different colored eyes, and he walks in and. I've seen this routine before, so I kind of that's when it connected for me that it was like that's the theme that runs through Joe's books, and I love that it's so strong in Best of Cold, like with the bank and all the financing from the Vampire and Box War, and them trying to get involved politically at the end as well. I just love that whole kind of run through. I just want to get that out of the way.
Yeah, I think we can get an idea that Joe really loves banks, right?
He really hates banks, maybe.
Love, hate, just two sides of the same coin. Harrison, it seemed like you were gonna say something.
I was gonna say to add on to that, I like how even though you can feel his presence and like you can always feel his presence through the books because he is like the power that be, but I like how Styria now is like anti-Baez, and Baez doesn't have like any control there, and neither does Khalul. It's like its own thing. And I really like how that is different. Like, it's not always about, oh, Baez always wins, Baez is always in charge, Baez is, it's like, no, there are exceptions to that, and it's nice to see that people can stand up against him. And I think that's a pretty cool idea that they have played out in here.
I mean, yep. So when we see Shanked confront Yoru, it's kind of like a collective. Fuck yeah, bitch.
And knowing that was Shank's plan from
Yeah, it
the
feels
beginning.
satisfying.
Go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
Sorry, and knowing that was Shank's plan from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of just like you said, it's a big fuck you, Baez. It's nice to see Baez get put down for once. I don't think he ever does again. Wait.
Well, I mean, he's not even put down. It's just now he doesn't have the puppet in Styria, so now he's got to figure out another one. I do like how Shanked at the end he was like, listen, Monza, you were doing so good for Orso, and I know that Orso is commandeered, so to speak, by Baez. I was just gonna straight up kill you. But looks like things changed, and it's worked out for the both of us. Oh my god!
Oh, I do like that. I think Shanked as a character is really interesting because it starts out as that sort of typical, henchman assassin scene that you get in every single action film. It's like, oh my god, this is the main threat. This guy's going to come after the hero and kill her. And it just turns out that he's just kind of following her around to make sure she actually does what he wanted to do in the first place. I think that's just such a simple, but it's such a good twist. And I wish I could read that again for the first time because that was just mind blowing to 15-year-old me.
You were like, what? And I guess so. The idea of like why he had joined Orso's like hitman committee to go kill Monza was so he could know who is trying to kill her and like be close to them to be able to thwart them from their attempts. I think
exactly, and that doesn't even come through when you're reading it for the first time. Like you do need to reread a lot of Joe's books, and I think this one especially. There's a lot of things that are given away early. Especially like with Benna, when he's talking all these big ideas and Monza's kind of like, haha, yeah, whatever. And he really means it.
Oh, he really does. Mm-hmm. He really does. Ugh. Benna. How I hate that little shit.
Jeff, who do you think is your not favorite, but like the most well-written character in this book?
The most well-written character in this book?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got to be Monza, but let me think.
If we all say Monza, who's the second favorite then?
I mean, all his characters are really written well. Obviously, we know that. But I will say, Casca. He, seeing into his mind's eye for the first and only time, it's like we see how self-aware he is and self-loathing.
Yeah.
And then he obviously I don't know if he distracts himself from that self-loathing by the alcoholism, or he just kind of punishes himself with that. Punishes himself with alcoholism because he hates himself, or what have you. But Casca, I think, was really well written in the sense that like he was willing to kind of go above and beyond for Monza, took a sword in the gut from Ganmark, told her to leave him behind, and which was he couldn't know that he was not gonna die, right?
Mm.
Turns out he didn't die, and that's great for him. And then he joins up with the Thousand Swords, becomes the Captain General again, and still finds a way to position himself and the company in a position where it protects and benefits Monza. I think Casca, really well done there.
Yeah, I like how Casca is written in a way like he is self-aware, but unlike so many characters and people in general, he's not like self-pitying at all. He doesn't sit there and like complain about his situation, and he's not somebody who like he doesn't like wish to be better. Really, he just
Right.
is what he is.
Yeah, and he roasts himself too. You know.
Yeah, he's it's very interesting personality for him to be like know exactly what he is, doesn't want to be shit, but also doesn't care to do any better, and is not going to complain about one way or the other. But he feels so real, just so unique. He's kind of I think Kafka's up there with some of the greatest characters that Joe's have written. Just with his complexity and stuff. So I would say Kafka's probably his second. Although Shivers fans would probably be like, Shivers is the best character ever.
Shivers is dope too. Shivers is dope too. He went from being a well-meaning optimist who had a bloody past, but because he was a soldier in all shapes, you know, for all intents and purposes, then he became an incel after he lost an eye. So, you know,
he wasn't an incel. He still banged Monza and then Carlot a couple of times. You know.
You know, goddamn well what I mean. He's out here crying his one eye out over unrequited attention. So
I think, I really, really hate that label incel just for any kind of like better man. You know, I think it's a bit reductive.
Fine. Shivers is a little whiny bitch. How about that?
It is a little whiny bitch. There we go. There we got it.
No, I do think that Shivers is it's pretty refreshing to have a character have such a downward trend, because it's not as common in writing, because obviously it's just depressing to read about. It's depressing here too. A lot of people, like, once the Shivers things happened, they're like, I'm not interested in this book anymore. I thought he was the hero, you know, like, obviously that's the whole point, but it's really cool to have a character have a downward trend. And obviously I don't think it's much of a spoiler, but we see where Shivers goes in the future, and that makes this whole thing even more satisfying. It's always about the journey, and this is a very interesting arc that this character has that not a lot of characters get inside of a series.
Yep, very true. Very true, very true. George, you want to add to that?
Actually, yeah, I want to go back to Cosgrove for a sec, because, like you said, I love the fact that Cosgrove is like extremely self-hating, but also like he's very in his head. He's very kind of self-important. But for my second best written character, I think it's got to be Morveer.
Morveer, my
for
boy!
just being the exact fucking polar opposite of Cosgrove. He's like, he thinks he's just incredible. He's the best person. He's the best poisoner. He's stealthy. He's still skinny, even though he's like 40. And he just thinks so highly of himself. And then every single thing that comes up is like, damn my bad luck. It's all because of my bad luck and not because of my decisions.
That is very true.
And I know just as many people like Morveer as I do that are like Koska, you know?
Yeah, I think that's why he really hated Koska, because like Koska, like, okay, we gotta give Morveer credit where credit is due, right? In terms of like his ability to poison people, but like where Koska just oozes charisma, Morveer struggles with social interactions and cues, and is very, like, you could say, a narcissist. And maybe Koska is one too. But
I find that funny, actually, Jeff, that you say that, because there's a monologue that Koska has where he says that beautiful people have an easier time because they're beautiful, because people see them that way. And I think it's exactly the same thing for charisma.
Yeah.
If you've got the charisma, you can talk somebody to doing anything. I mean, fucking Jim Jones talked 1,000 people into killing themselves, you know, because he was just so goddamn charismatic. You just couldn't help it.
And then he's also like telling dudes, like, hey, your wives, give them to me. And also, drink the Kool-Aid, man. Yeah, like Morveer obviously would see where he's lacking, how Koska embodies those traits, right? And why people don't like appreciate Morveer or celebrate Morveer or applaud Morveer like they do with Koska, right? You know what I mean? So there's that jealousy. But go ahead, George.
But no, I think that's exactly it, isn't it? Because And I think it's one of the things that Joe has brought up before and brings up again, but doesn't bring up in this particular interaction. Morveer hates Koska, and Koska hates Morveer because they see in each other what they hate the most about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's the one time that Joe could have brought that up and it would have been poignant, but he doesn't do it.
He doesn't do
He
it.
has the restraint.
Yeah, I like that
Actually,
it's
when you
implied. Like a lot of Joe's stuff is always it's more subtle. It's more like that could be it, or it could be something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, very true. Do you have anything to add about our boy Morveer?
I think Morveer is also like this book is filled with such unique characters that Joe has. I feel like he just like reached into his bag of characters and was like, what are some of the weirdest ones I can throw out? Like, if you think about the cast the cast here, it is pretty different compared to a lot of the other books in the series, and in terms of like their unique traits. Like Morveer is a complete narcissist who goes through no arc and dies at the end, and is also hilarious to read about because of the way he's written. And then we have Koska, who is from the other books, as we've kind of already talked about him a bit. Monza seems like a pretty normal character for him. Like for him, I mean, not like bad written, but like obviously really well written, but pretty standard kind of complex character. But then we have like Friendly, too, who is
Right.
autistic and completely different to anything he ever writes again. So I think this book has just so many unique characters that he runs around with. But Morveer, I would say, it's definitely a unique experience to read about. I definitely didn't expect him to die at the end, but I also didn't expect him to have killed literally everyone he's ever known. So,
okay, so you did expect Morveer to die.
I did not. I did not expect him to die because Joe usually doesn't kill his POV characters. But I also did not expect him to have like any redeeming qualities. Usually his characters have redeeming qualities, so he kind of subverted himself, I would say.
I find it interesting that you say that, but I don't necessarily think redeeming qualities, but you can definitely see what led him down the path.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Like a couple things on that.
The whole thing is that he says he poisoned his mother, but you don't know if that was on purpose or accidentally or anything like that, because he doesn't kind of give those kind of details when he's reminiscing.
Well, I've accidentally poisoned many people.
It's easily done. Oh, sorry. What are you going to say, Jeff?
Well, with the mother thing, yes, we don't know if it's accidental, but I could have sworn he had said something along the line earlier in the book, right, where he was like, "It's the same thing as when I had to poison my mother. I had to poison the headmistress of the orphanage. I had to poison my mentor, my first assistant, that kind of thing." And I was like, "All right, so how could it be an accident?" You know what I mean?
Well, he doesn't say that about his mother. He does say it about everybody else, but
I could have sworn he said it about his
Yeah,
the mother thing only happens right at the end. That's when we find out that he poisoned his mother specifically, right when he died.
Right, but the thing I'm talking about with the headmistress and everything was like earlier in the book, and I thought he mentioned his mom in that time. So.
Exactly, but I love the fact in those flashbacks or reminiscences that he has. He's like, well, I had to do that because the children at the orphanage, they bullied me, so I had to poison them. And then the headmistress was cruel to me, so I had to poison them. And we don't know. Maybe his mum was like abusive or something.
Maybe. And
he seems to put her in a very high regard. Like she was so sweet, the most beautiful one I've ever seen.
I don't know.
Maybe you're right.
I'll do some research real quick. I will say I did find it I was like, oh, he's trying when he was like making soup and everything, stew.
I think that was genuine. That was genuine.
That is true.
Yeah.
That was genuine.
And then obviously with timing of like people not necessarily trusting to eat his stuff. Also with Ishri appearing out of nowhere, ruining the vibe.
That's true. That wasn't his fault. I mean, that was actually the inciting incident as well for Morveer portraying Monza, killing Day, doing all that. That was basically the last time he interacted with them. And it was because Ishri just popped out of nowhere and scared the fucking shit out of all of them.
I will say.
Go ahead, sorry.
And Monza completely. I think she disregards whatever Morvia was suggesting or saying something.
Yeah,
about their plan.
I think that there is like this really good theme too inside of this book where there's this strong emphasis on people saying that they do good, and so they deserve X, Y, Z, and they're kind of missing the point of doing good. Shivers goes through it. Morvir has his own little thing with it. Monza doesn't go through it because she like understands how it's supposed to work. So does Casca. But I think it's very interesting that there is some characters who have that little thing in there where they are like misunderstanding what being good actually is, and that causes them to like regress. You know, be like, well, since I wasn't rewarded for being good, I'll just be an ass. Like, I know that's kind of like a straw man of it, but it's more complex than that. I think it's a really cool aspect that he's able to interwove into the story.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. And I think we all know by now that Joe is a psychology student. So he knows the inner workings of the mind. And I just think, I can't think of, again, I've said this so many times, I can't think of any other characters in fiction that are like this, that are like, they do shitty things and they're not just like edgy and cool and you're like, oh, that's sick, but you actually understand why they do the things that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, you know, there's no real villain in any of these books. Even Baez is reasonably understandable from his perspective, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
He does awful things, but I get it.
Might is right. Don't you forget it. Mm-hmm.
And I always find it funny, again, I've said this before, but people call this series grimdark. It's definitely not grimdark at all.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's not edgy to be edgy. There's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, for most. Maybe there's a heaven in the First Law universe. And all of the main characters go there.
What the hell? I don't think that.
I'm joking.
They all deserve to die.
It's funny. Let's pivot real quick because we mentioned him briefly. Friendly. What do you guys think about Friendly?
Fucking love Friendly. I think I wish he was in it more. I wish we got more Friendly because he's just so. I wouldn't say he's relatable to me. I'm not really a maths guy. I don't really do numbers that much. I will if I need to, but whatever.
I like how that's the point you make. It's like, well, you know, he likes numbers, and I'm not really a numbers guy.
Yeah, you got a point there. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm autistic, and I get it that you get obsessions, and it literally just fills your brain forever. Like, and not even forever, just for like periods of time. Just like, I have to think about this, and every single time I do something, I have to think about it. And then I get that. And that's a really, really relatable thing. Even though Friendly's depiction of it's a bit extreme. His depiction of sort of like what do they call it now?
What? How he's depicted, like the neurodivergency.
The neurodivergency. That's the word I was looking for. Exactly. Like it's a little bit extreme, but then he is an extreme case. You know, he's a criminal and he's
Yeah.
You know, he's had an extreme life, so it makes sense. But I really love the fact that Friendly is just this. He's almost a breath of fresh air when you read in the rest of the chapters, and they're so serious, and they switch back to Friendly, and it's just like, yes, there's 41 jewels in that necklace over there. And I just love, I love the fact that he's so detached from the story. Like, he just doesn't give a shit about anything that's going on. He's just like, oh, Shivers looks like he wants to kill Monzo. Maybe I should be worried about that.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
But you know, it's like he has no personal ambitions and he has no like malicious intent. He's just there. But he'll do what you ask him to do.
Exactly. He's very loyal as well. He's loyal to people that he probably shouldn't be loyal to, which is not necessarily a good thing.
I think he's loyal to ironically, I think he's loyal to kindness. He doesn't get that. The few times he does get that, he is loyal to it. Somebody who understands him and lets him be his own person, and I think that's whenever he is actually the most willing to help and be, nice
Right.
and all
First
that.
with Sajam and then with Koska as well.
Yeah, I think he knows he's misunderstood and it doesn't bother that much, but it's really nice when somebody does take the time. Or he's also loyal to somebody who he doesn't like, who he wants to. He wants to be awesome, like not care what the people think and all that, like in the way of being confident and everything. How do you feel about Friendly, Jeff?
Listen, man. Again, I like the guy. I like all the characters. I mean, we all say that Joe does fantastic character work. Practically, well, again, me not so well read in all fantasy, so I would have to like defer to like George or somebody about this. But how good is his character work in the first law, like in fantasy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Friendly is just another example of one of those. And
But that said, he is a
Friendly,
bit one note, isn't he?
who?
Friendly. He's a bit, that this is his thing, and that's what he does, and
Right,
that's
and
his character. Pretty much.
Right, but what's cool? It's cool that it still feels authentic.
Mm.
Like it feels like a definite, like fully fledged character, even though we think that there isn't that much to him, right?
I mean,
That he's just
he comes across as an absolute psychopath at first. He's like, "Yeah, I'll chop up this guy in the sewer." Fine, yeah, no problem at all. And then he turns to Shiv and he's like, 6 and 6 make 12. And Shiv was just like, "What the fuck?" But then he actually turns out that, yeah, you're right, Harrison, that he reciprocates to friendliness and people that like him and will talk to him, even if he doesn't really understand it, although really understand what he's feeling. He wants to be a good person deep down inside.
Yeah.
A friendly would never kill anyone ever again if they never threatened him or insulted his dice.
True. Apologize to my fucking dice. Oh my god. I half expected the Adam Sandler Waterboy noise to follow that. And it's like, water sucks. It really, really sucks. And then he Friendly just snaps, but like they do that with dice, obviously.
Oh my god. I haven't watched that film in years. Thanks for that fucking blast from the past.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's been like 20 years. You're right. Shit, fuck. I haven't seen it since. Whatever. Let's talk about Vitari for a second.
Yeah, Vitari is like
we get a much more closer look at Shiloh Vitari than in the first trilogy, but not like not by a lot. But we see a little bit more of the same. She is very good at her job. We see that apparently Castor Morveer had once brought up the idea of a little smackaroony session. trying to clap them redhead cheeks, but she shut that down. And then now we know who the father of her kids is.
Yeah, she's more into tall, skinny, gaunt-looking cannibals.
Yeah.
That's it. He's just Morpheus just too short for her. That's it.
That's what it is. I can't remember in the first trilogy, and I might have brought this up on an episode recently, but I can't remember if it was any indication in the first trilogy that Vitari had run into eaters before, like when she was in Dagosca with Glokta.
She'd never run into them. No.
What are you talking about? They tortured Shickle.
I know he's talking about before Shickle, right?
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Like it was never mentioned.
No, I think you might have gotten that impression from the fact that she's so good at helping to succumb Shickle.
Yeah.
And with the chain and being able to like kind of hold her down and do all that. But yeah, I get what you mean. She's definitely she's deep down she just wants to protect her kids, but you got to do the job, so you got to get good at it.
Mm-hmm. Right. What I mean was like So, you know, the kids were born already. They're already out and about in the first trilogy. So she's met Shank. She knows what Shank is. She has to know what he is, right? Clearly.
That's interesting, actually, thinking about it.
No, she has to because he's talked to.
Yeah,
They talked about
she
vengeance.
definitely knows. She definitely knows. But then
Because
she might have met him again between first trilogy and the so-called to talk about all of that stuff.
maybe.
Yeah, I
I
don't know.
don't
It's hard
know.
to say. It's a good point. Maybe not.
Oh, that's a book that Joe could write, a romance.
Uh-huh.
Change
Mhm.
Vitari and Shank.
Yeah, but let's talk about her. You know, Miss, you know, Queen Efficient. She's great. We love her, and she knows when to call it quits. Because she, once she, you know, they learned that like Morveer had killed Day and stuff. She goes, "Oh, I am not. I'm out, bye."
That's true. She is not gonna. She's probably like, I would say, like street level. She's one of the smartest like characters. Like she is very attuned to like people in a certain way of like not like not like in an empathetic way, but in a way of this is dangerous. This is not good. This is not how things should work. I
She's
need
got
to
good instincts.
instincts. Yeah, she's extremely. She's probably, I would say she's probably the most instinctual and resourceful character in the series in terms of like anything outside of combat. You know, like she knows her shit. She knows people. She knows how to work the system. Um, it's actually pretty impressive because she doesn't. We never get a POV of her. Like she just is her. She's her, guys.
That's it. She's her. Mhm. Monza is on that level too, but during this, you know, the whole book, she was, you know, hampered by Husk, hampered by her myopic desire for revenge, all this stuff, you know?
I feel like they're slightly different though, because Vitari, I think, kind of does crave a little bit of power, a little bit. She loves it at the end. She's so smug when she's finally in power and has a title, well, Mistress Vitari and Spy Master and all that.
Yeah.
So I think because we do see her first as one of Arch like Salt's personal practicals, which is
No, Goyle.
A Goyle, and then but it is mentioned that she worked for Salt before Goyle.
Right, you're right. I apologize.
But you're right that we did first see her as a Goyle goon, as we call them.
Goyle Goon.
So we do get the sense that she's, you know, she worked her way up in the ranks. If she's not, you know, if she was just kind of trying to keep her head down, she'd just stay one of the bottom tier practicals and just earn a wage and do that shit.
Yeah.
But she clearly does like the, you know, the accomplishment and doing shit. So it's good to see her come to that in the end and be able to give really good advice to Monzo, as it turns out.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think that she does want to be maybe not somebody, but she wants to be I think she wants to be secure. I think she wants to be.
I think that's it. That position of power allows her to have that security.
And it's not just because she has kids. I think she was probably that way before, and it just was even more so whenever she had kids. Or maybe she was different. Maybe she was different. She had kids, and she decided that she needs to, you know, prioritize different things. Obviously, to a certain degree, she doesn't know exactly what all of Shank's like. She doesn't work in tandem with Shank until after this story, but you know, she does. Maybe she learned a lot of her stuff from Shank. Maybe they worked a job together at some point, and they obviously hit it off. But you know, she obviously hasn't come on the scene before the original trilogy, and her kids are pretty young. But that means she would have been with Shank, you know, a few years before the original trilogy. So maybe, I'm just thinking of this. Maybe she did learn stuff from Shank about how the world really works, and she wanted to be, you know, in a position of security. That way, she never has to be threatened by things that she can't control.
Right. George, do you want to say anything about Vitari?
No, I think that's all covered. I think that's good.
Okay. I couldn't have sworn that you. I thought I didn't hear you say anything, but I could be wrong. I'm sorry. I'm still a little out of it. Okay. So I like those thoughts about Vitari. Yeah, she probably does not want to ever be in the position again of like what Glocta did at the end of the first trilogy, right? He lies to her, right?
Mm.
About like having her children, her kids, in like custody. But here's the thing: because she's just a practical, she knows that there's a very good chance that could be true. Because, she doesn't have people that report to her; she reports to other people. She might handle like subordinates, yeah, sure, but you know what I mean in terms of like having like that kind of power. So
Yeah.
she probably never wants to be in that position again, which makes sense. What else? Yeah, and I'm excited to see what a spy is, a espionage or counterintelligence institution helmed by Vitari looks like. Efficient as fuck under Monza, I imagine.
Well,
So,
not from what we see in Sharp Ends, anyway.
oh, right. I gotta go look at that again. But yeah, I think I remember that.
That's one of the Chev and Java chapters, Jeff. You're gonna hate it.
Oh, fuck me. Fuck.
Hey, it's good, Jeffrey. You'll see. You'll like it, Jeffrey.
I read them all, so I don't know. I don't remember. I gotta read it again.
For the listeners, Jeff doesn't like those chapters.
They're too
There's
short.
actually- No,
They're just way too short. All of them are like a couple pages, and
One of them is like over 50 pages. There's no way.
there's a good amount of chapters that I actually don't like in Sharp Ends.
But you will
Java-
by the time we get to them. I swear to God.
Oh no. I'm actually probably gonna be insufferable to listen to on that. But my point is I think that Vitari is still gonna run a very like reliable institution underneath Monza. I guess that's what I was trying to say.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Let's talk about Shivers.
Our boy Shivers.
Our incel boy. Incel, George. How do you like them words?
It is a funny word. It caught on because it's a very funny sounding word.
yeah, I'm an incel.
What do we think about him?
I don't hate him as much. I don't love him as much as some people do, but I don't hate him as much as some people do either. I'm kind of here or there with Shivers because I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, he still has that full-on all or nothing attitude that all the Northmen seem to have that he's kind of inherited. And again, it's not really his fault, but his logic is so circular. Sometimes he just goes, "Oh well, I'm in trouble because this happened to me, and then I made this decision, and then." But in the same way that Oscar hates himself and knows it, and Morphia loves himself and doesn't know it, Shivers is somewhere in the middle here. You know what I mean? And it feels a little bit frustrating to read sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
What do you think, Harrison?
I totally agree with you with everything you said. I like that. Shivers is I kind of mentioned before. I like this dilemma that he's in of why am I not being rewarded for being a good person? XYZ. He gets mad at Monza for all this stuff, but like as Monza points at the end, she's like, "You did most of this yourself. Like what the fuck?" Like she feels guilty for certain things, and then like he's laying everything else on her as well, and it's just a bit. It's childish, and I think we have to remember that Shivers is like, early 20s. Like he's young.
It's not childish. I think it's almost severe PTSD, right? Because he's literally had his fucking eye burn out of his head, and he doesn't know how to deal with the emotions.
Right.
So he puts it on the first person that he's the only person at that point that he's close to. And I think that really reflects what people do. People lash out at the people that are closest to them when they get frustrated and they get things that they can't deal with in life. Instead of dealing with it rationally, or, he might try to, or you might try to, but it might not. It doesn't always work out. And then the first thing that your brain does is, oh, well, I've got to fight them.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay.
But the fact that that is a relatable thing for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't even realize that is what they're going through at the time. Is it makes it frustrating to read, because I read Shivers chapters and I'm like, I remember when I was like that once.
Yeah.
And I regret it, but he doesn't. No, that is an extremely, and as being well written, it's very well written, but I fucking hate the guy.
You hate Shivers. Wow.
No, it's got. I mean, I know what you mean. Like, it's like he does everything that's so relatable to being a young man that you don't realize is like just. I know what you mean by not being childish, but I'm just going to use the term again for brevity. No. He does what a lot of young men do that is childish. He's very like, the world hates me. I'm so misunderstood. I can't express myself, and then it just boils over, and he lashes out. I mean, like, we've all been young men, and most of us can relate to that kind of feeling that he has, and that's what makes him so like relatable, and it makes you feel bad about what's going on with him, and makes you want him to succeed, even though it's not right. It's because it just fits with what a young man's mindset is, but it's also just not right. Just not the right thing to do or be. So,
and the fact that he keeps talking about the right thing to do, at least in the beginning, and then he abandons it. Yeah, it's very tragic. I think Shivers might even be more of a tragic character than Monzo.
Yeah, because Monza failed, quote unquote, upwards.
Yeah,
exactly. Whereas Shivers failed, and I love the fact that by the end he's just like, yeah, I'm ready to hang now. Just let me go.
Finally.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just done. Get me the fuck out of here.
Oh dear. But I really do think it's interesting that Joe doesn't put all the blame on him, and it would be easy, especially now with the way that kind of fucking gender politics and shit is going. It's very easy to just go, it's this person's fault, or it's that person's fault, or something like that. And then we know that these are a few years old now, 10 years old, but Joe doesn't continue that on. He does continue on the very, very well written and nuanced characters. And I very much fucking appreciate that. Very few authors have. Looking at you, George.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that it's interesting that he is. It's cool that he's like okay with where he's at the end. It's tragic though, from an objective point of view, but also it's not. He never has like this like top down view saying Monza did everything wrong or Shivers did this all to himself. It's just like these are the way the characters feel, and you can decide for yourself where you want to be, and that's awesome that people can feel that way and have different opinions about it, even if they're wrong.
So yeah, no, thank you for that. I mean, like Shivers, we'll see his growth later on in other books. Somebody said he's one of the very few people who have shown up in like the majority of the books, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's in almost all of them.
I think 8 out of 9, 7 out of 9, something like that. No.
Wait, what do you mean?
He's in every book except the Blade itself, right?
Yeah,
yes.
For the Blade itself.
Yes. So we'll see Shivers next week. we'll see him soon. And I would say to Shivers' credit, like a lot of people judge this character based off of the character they see at the end. And I don't think that is. I don't want to say fair, but like it's also a lot fair to the other characters. Like if you don't like other characters, like are you judging them based off their entire life? Whereas we get to know Shivers for his entire life. So, but
exactly.
Shivers is an excellent character.
Exactly. And you look what you said about judging him by what he was at the end. A lot of people have the argument that Shivers would have just been a fucking beggar for the rest of his life if Monza hadn't picked him off the streets. Which I think is interesting because it's like, well, so Shivers maybe, the day after that fight where he beat the shit out of those dudes, maybe he's like, oh, well, I can just do this instead, and does his own thing. You know, people don't stay down forever most of the time.
Very true. Very true.
So who knows what would have happened if he would have left or not even joined up with Monza in the first place. So I think Monza is slightly to blame, but also at the same time, it's completely understandable.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think you're right.
All right, so we'll take a bit of a break real quick, and we're just going to go on and do our favorite segment, one of our favorites, and it's Meme of the Week, Georgie Boy. That's a you. Take it away.
I like how you had to amend that with one of our favorites.
Yeah, I had to.
It's not our favorite, but it is one of our favorites.
It's one of them.
Out of the three that we do, it's one of our favorites.
Yeah.
Leave Jeff alone. He's tired.
Yeah,
So-
leave me alone.
This is from a user called the Call Shiverse, which I think is.
That's so stupid.
And I know it's very stupid, but they've got an AI picture of I think it's AI anyway of Shivers, and or it actually looks like a gender bent version of Shivers. Looks a little bit like a female there, which is interesting. We'll be following you very closely. This is any time a character anywhere in the world gets a crumb of influence or significance, and it's that stupid time that Theresa May came on the stage doing the worst millennial dance ever. And it's just Yoro Sulfur. He just rocks up like, "Hello, I'm Yoro Sulfur. I'm a representative of balance and bulk, and I'm going to lend you some money if you sign your life away in some kind of Faustian bargain."
Sulfur really is. We mentioned it before, but he really is the most. Shivers is like the most like common character to pop up. Like he's in all the books. He always does something or has an influence in somewhere.
Sulfur is everywhere. He's fucking everywhere.
He's the most
he knows
cameo character
everyone.
ever.
He is.
He's like an MCU character. He's like Iron Man. He's like, "Hello, you want to join the Avengers? If you're not going to join me, then I'm going to take you down."
Oh, you don't want to join us? Well, I'm just going to eat you then. Simple as that. We fucking love Yoru. Yoru, we'd never get any background on him at all. It's just all we know about him is that he was Baez's apprentice, and then he graduated. That's it. That's all we know about him. And yet he's in every single book, and he pops up, and he does all these stupid things. Well, very plot important things.
Yeah, he's fine.
I'm gonna suggest that a motion here that we vote on that we call Eurosulfur from now on is called the plot device.
The plot device?
Yeah, because he turns up when the plot
motion.
needs to happen.
I
All in
second-
favor, say aye.
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 The eyes have it.
The Lord's round is in quorum.
All further petitions shall be answered potentially, maybe, not so sure, in like a week or two.
Yeah, maybe, if we feel like it.
Yeah.
So,
Someone tell that farmer to pay his landlord.
so thank you very much, Call Shiverse, for that silly meme. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Yep. We do appreciate it, and we love to see him. We love to see him. So let's go back to characters real quick here, and let's talk about who else. Who the motherfuck else?
Well, to be honest, I don't think we have too much to say about her. But
Okay.
Monza is really well written, guys. Like you said,
Rude. Just rude. Jesus Christ.
that's true. You know it is. She's really well written, and we talked about her whole journey. But it's interesting to see how much people don't like her. But I think that's slowly changing. I think people are slowly starting to realize, hey, wait a minute, she might just be another person.
Mm-hmm.
I think In the same way that people don't understand Shivers' influences and the way that he reacts and acts to the world, people don't understand about Monza as well. Monza is sort of it's hard to get into a head of a character like that where they've had to be so fucking tough for their entire lives. They've had to look after people their entire lives, and they will defend those people no matter what. She never says a bad word except right at the end. She doesn't say a bad word about Benno because she thinks and loves him. Yeah. For bad or good, incest or not, whatever. It's still love.
It's still love, baby.
It is still love.
And love is irrational. You know, you don't think about shit like that when you're in love, or when you love someone. You don't think, oh, this person's done a bad thing. I'm just gonna walk away now. It doesn't work like that. And
I think that's true. You kind of are blind to everything they do.
Exactly, and I think that is written so well in the way, and especially in the flashbacks when Bennett does all of these awful things, and she just goes, "Well, he's just a kid. And I love him, so that's it."
Yeah,
and all incest and weird age shit go aside here. We'll just clarify that.
Yeah, please do. Go ahead.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
people do whatever they can for the people that they love, even if they're fucking horrible things, even if they'll take the entire blame upon themselves. People do that.
Yeah, I think Monza is a very good case of a capable but normal person. I think let's be real. I think most of us would probably do the same shit she would do in the situation she's in. I think. Right. I mean, she has a bit more willpower than we do.
Yeah, just a tiny bit.
But
really, she doesn't have any escape scenarios for any of the situations that she's put in. I mean, the whole thing with what's his name, Herman the merchant. In the middle of a hostile city under siege, and then you just murder the guy. What else are you gonna do? You just gotta walk away with the gold, don't you?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Monza didn't know anything about it, right? Like, Benna was dragging her along. She's like, "What are we doing here?" And he's like, "You'll see." And then they meet Herman.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, she doesn't at that time when that happens. She doesn't have any out. She can't just like fucking have a fucking screaming about your Benner in the street and walk away.
Yeah,
right. Although, she should be smacking the shit out of him every time.
Yeah, and I do love the fact that she does smack the shit out of him in Capril. Just like, what the fuck are you doing, you little shit?
I thought you'd be happy.
Oh, boy.
I didn't know. Fuck Benner.
Fuck Benner. Fuck him.
Because Benner is I think Benner's the main character of this story.
Well, he's the driving force.
Benner is the antagonist.
Right. And we thought, that Orso's the antagonist, he's the bad guy here, and we thought that Benna is Monza's driving force to, revenge herself for her brother. Turns out he's been the entire agonist all along, similar to Baez, in that because, even though he's dead, because of his consistent actions, he set this in motion. Monza obviously enabled him, you know, but he's like a dumb Emperor Palpatine. You know what I mean? Did I get that reference right? Well, without the power.
No, that was good. No, it's like he was the whole time. He's like telling Monza. Yeah. He's like, "Do it, Monza. Do it now."
It'll be good for us. Trust me. Trust me,
Monza.
I love how manipulative Benner is. He's so subtly and completely manipulative, and he knows exactly how to pull the strings. And it makes me feel sick every single time I read any interaction. And it's only in total, I think, about 2 pages in the whole book. But every single time I read Monza and Benner interacting, it makes me feel ill. Not because of the incest, just because of the way he acts.
Yeah. Oh, so you're saying you're pro-incest? You walked right into that one.
Bitch.
Well, I am. Anyway,
That's the South for you. Sorry.
That is the South. That is the South.
so
Who have we got
Monza
left?
Monza is. I also like how Monza is somebody who wants to be good. I mean, yeah, aside from her incest stuff, but like in her mind, that's not bad because she's blind to all that stuff. But like she does want to do good, and she does take actions on the regular to try to do good. The issue is that she is more selfish than she is good, and yeah, I would say that's the main issue there with her.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like most people, if you're going to survive in a chaotic environment, being selfish is the only way to survive. These people don't have the modern luxury of being able to get food and clean water and sanitation and a roof over your head whenever you want. Well, the most people do today.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
being selfish and being able to take advantage of people is an evolutionary trait that is going to proliferate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. But still, fuck Benno.
Still fuck Benno, yeah. Benno is the one character I can, even better, I can still look back and go, yeah, he was looked after and coddled his entire life. Of course he's going to turn out like that.
Yeah, that's true too. For sure.
And again, it's just a testament to Joe's fucking masterwork with characters. I want Joe to write all films and books ever, or just do the characters.
Yeah, can Joe write every character ever? That'd be nice.
Or even just have a word, just a little injection of ideas, because he just knows.
That's true. That is true.
I'm probably being reductive. We probably spent like 10 years sitting down and thinking about these characters, but
Fuck it. Who cares? We love it.
He did spend a long time thinking about him.
No. So, what were you gonna say, Harrison?
I was gonna move on.
Right. What were you gonna move on to?
I'm trying to think of something else that we've haven't spoken about yet. That we haven't covered in the book series already. Otherwise, I will say, like we talked a lot about Orso. Orso's a really, really interesting, well-written character as well. But we just spoke about him. Otherwise, like I said, the cast of characters in this particular book is just exceptional. I think it's really, really good. I don't think there are really any characters in this one that are like weaker than the others compared to some of this other books.
Exactly, even down to the 1 or 2 chapter characters like Celia, Rogon, maybe 5 or 6 chapters, but
Yeah, no. Sure.
Sajam. They're all interesting. They're all weird, eclectic, different kind of characters, and I can't believe people cannot get through this book. I've seen so many posts on the First Law subreddit that say, I started reading Best Verve Cold after reading the First Law trilogy, and I just don't get it. And it's like, what? Did you not understand? Did you not understand the point of the first 3 books?
I think it's expectations, Like, I think they just thought that it was I don't think they expect the Shivers thing. The Shivers thing is always a slap in the face. I think people just get depressed and decide to stop reading. But, to each their own. It's wrong. But,
it is wrong. It is wrong. And these books are depressing in a way.
They definitely are. I think if you go in with the mindset of just trying to read a story rather than like having something that you want out of it, then you enjoy them immensely. Because instead of having to put down like, oh, I want this character to be this way, or I think this is going to happen, or anything like that, it's just you're in the experience. And honestly, because of this book series, that made me enjoy a lot of other series more too. Because I put myself out of the mindset of what do I want to happen in the series. Instead, I'm thinking, ooh, I can't wait to see what happens. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen? And very rarely does especially a book like Joe's book, kind come across as something that was not intended. That's different in movies nowadays. Obviously, movies are kind of a mess, and there are a lot of plot holes. But so long as there aren't a lot of plot holes, like, whatever. Like, do whatever you think is best, and I'm going to be in for the ride.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you.
That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support means oh so much.
Join us next week as we have another special episode.
And we're posting on social media again. And we have a website. It's circleoftheworld.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And please make sure to rate and review the podcast, as well as send us a message. We want to know what you thought of the book. Thank you all again for listening.
We deserve to be remembered.